It's 2013. You're 26 years old, and for the first time in your life, you have real money sitting in a bank account. $400,000. Not from a lottery ticket, not from luck, just years of saving, a small inheritance, and a decision you've been putting off for months. Because tonight, you finally have to choose.
You're not a trader. You've never bought a stock in your life, and the idea of watching numbers move on a screen for a living makes your stomach turn. Bitcoin, to you, is just a word people say at parties, somewhere between a joke and a warning. The house, though, you understand. A roof, 4 walls, something your own parents worked 30 years and never quite managed to fully own. Something that feels, for the first time in your life, within reach.
A friend brings it up at dinner one night, half serious. He shows you a chart on his phone, a coin worth pennies not long ago, now worth over $100. And he says the words every risky idea has said since the beginning of time. Imagine if you'd gotten in early. You laugh it off. It sounds like the kind of thing people say right before they lose everything.
So you do the responsible thing. You put the money into the house. A small place with a red door and a view of nothing special, just some hills in the distance and a crooked fence that needs work. It feels solid under your hand when you knock on the wall during the inspection. It feels like the adult decision, the safe one, the one nobody could ever criticize you for making.
Moving day. Boxes everywhere. The smell of fresh paint still sharp in the hallway. You stand alone in the empty living room before the furniture arrives, and for one quiet moment, you feel like you've actually won something. Like the version of you from 5 years ago, renting a studio apartment and counting down to payday, would be proud of exactly this room.
A year in, you find a shoebox of photos while cleaning out the garage, and you and your partner spend an entire Sunday afternoon sitting on the floor instead of unpacking anything, laughing at how young you both look in pictures from before any of this. That afternoon costs you nothing and means more to you later than almost any other memory from that decade. It is the kind of thing a house makes room for, simply by existing.
Years pass, the way they always do. Quietly, and then all at once. You paint the fence twice. You fix the roof after a bad storm takes 3 shingles with it. You host a birthday, then another, and then a small wedding in the backyard that nobody remembers to plan the seating for. The mortgage payment becomes background noise, a number you stop really seeing on the statement. Life simply fills in the space around the walls you chose. Somewhere in the background of those same years, that other option is living a much wilder life. It triples in a summer, and strangers on the internet call it the future. It crashes by 60% before Christmas, and the same strangers call it a dead scam. It comes back stronger than before. It crashes again, harder, wiping out people who bet their savings on it. Your coworker mentions it once at lunch, laughing, saying he bought a little as a joke years ago and forgot the password to get it back. You nod, half listening, and go back to talking about the weekend. You remember the specific year everyone at the office suddenly had an opinion about it, when it went from a punchline to a headline overnight, and every group chat you were in had someone posting screenshots of gains that seemed fake. You remember the crash that followed a few months later just as clearly. The same people going quiet, deleting the app, calling it a bubble that finally popped for good. Neither moment changed anything about your Tuesday. You still had a roof to fix and a kid to pick up from school. There's one night in the middle of all this when the mortgage feels heavier than usual, and a headline about Bitcoin flashes past you, another wild swing, another fortune made or lost overnight. For about 4 seconds, You actually wonder what would happen if you sold the house and chased it. Then, your kid calls you from the other room, and the thought dissolves before it ever becomes a decision. You never even remember having it.
Eventually, you stop thinking about the other door entirely. Not because you decided to. It simply fades, the way an old phone number fades from memory. The way a road you didn't take quietly stops feeling like a road at all and starts feeling like it was never really an option in the first place.
Then, one evening, more than a decade later, you're scrolling through your phone on the same couch where your kid used to fall asleep, when an old friend posts something. A screenshot. A single number followed by 3 laughing emojis and the words, "I should have sold," at the top. You almost scroll past it. Then something in your memory snags, and you stop. And you do the math you swore you'd never do. $40 million. That's what $400,000, left completely untouched in Bitcoin since that night in 2013, would be worth today. Not the house, not the mortgage you finally paid off last spring, not the roof you fixed twice, or the fence, or the backyard wedding. The other door, the one you stood in front of for less than an hour, before turning around. For a moment, the number sits in your chest like a stone. You picture the version of you who said yes instead of no. A different house, a different life, a different everything, built on a decision that took you 4 seconds to dismiss at a dinner table years ago. But here's the part almost nobody tells you when they show you that number. It only exists in hindsight, built backward from an outcome nobody could have promised you at the time. Of everyone who bought Bitcoin that same year, the overwhelming majority never made it to today still holding it. Most sold during one of the crashes, certain it was over for good. Some lost the passwords to their own wallets and simply locked themselves out forever. Some needed the money for rent or a hospital bill or a divorce long before the number got big enough to matter. The $40 million story is real for a very small handful of people on the entire planet. It was never the likely outcome sitting at that table. It was the exception, wearing the costume of a lesson.
And here's the part that number still can't measure, no matter how large it gets. Every night you spent in that house actually happened. Every birthday in that living room, every argument in that kitchen that ended in laughter an hour later, every ordinary Tuesday was real, in a way no chart can undo or rewrite. The house never made you rich, but it also never once asked you to watch its value fall 60% in a month and hold your nerve while your family depended on it. It just stood there, unglamorous and steady, and let you live an entire life inside it.
This was never really a story about picking the wrong door. It's about the fact that no one sitting at a dinner table at 26 with real money for the first time can actually know which door leads where. What you can control was never the outcome. It's whether you could live with the choice long enough for it to actually compound. Through every crash, every headline, every 4-second temptation to blow it all up and start over. And most people, if they're being completely honest with themselves, could not have held that other door for 10 straight years. You held yours. You just never thought of it as holding anything at all. Every one of us is sitting at some version of that dinner table right now, in one part of our life or another, looking at 2 doors and trying to guess which one a stranger on the internet will be talking about in 10 years. Most of the time, there's no way to know. The only honest question worth asking isn't which door is correct. It's which door you could actually stand behind, year after year, boring Tuesday after boring Tuesday, without flinching. Somewhere out there tonight, $40 million is sitting quietly in a digital wallet nobody has opened in over a decade. And somewhere else, a house has a fence that needed fixing twice, a red door that still sticks in the summer heat, and every ordinary Tuesday you ever lived inside it, still standing exactly where you left it this morning. Both of those things are real. Only one of them was ever actually yours to keep. Cheers for watching.